There once was an old stone monastery tucked away in the middle of a picturesque forest. For many years, people would make the significant detour required to seek out this monastery. The peaceful spirit of the place was healing for the soul. In recent years, however, fewer and fewer people were making their way to the monastery. The monks had grown jealous and petty in their relationships with one another, and the animosity was felt by all those who visited. The abbot of the monastery was distressed by what was happening and poured out his heart to his good friend, Rabbi Jeremiah, a wise old rabbi who no longer led a congregation. Having heard the abbot's tale of woe, he asked if he could offer a suggestion. "Please do," responded the abbot. "Anything you can offer." Jeremiah said that he had received a vision, an important vision, and the vision was this: the Messiah was among the ranks of the monks. The abbot was flabbergasted. One among his own was the Messiah? Who could it be? He knew it wasn't himself. But who? He raced back to the monastery and shared this exciting news with his fellow monks. The monks grew silent as they looked into each other's faces. Was this one the Messiah? From that day on, the mood in the monastery changed. Matthew and Simon started talking again, neither wanting to be guilty of slighting the Messiah. Luke and John left behind their frosty anger and sought out each other's forgiveness. The monks began serving each other, looking out for opportunities to assist, seeking healing and forgiveness where offense had been given. As one traveler then another found their way to the monastery, word soon spread about the remarkable spirit of the place. People once again took the journey to the monastery and found themselves renewed and transformed. All because those monks knew the Messiah was among them. This tale is repeated by Dr. M. Scott Peck, American psychiatrist, in his book, The Different Drum, Community Making and Peace. The monks were called, in effect, to love their neighbor. Their Christian religion called them to love God, love Jesus, love Mary, etc., and even to love their neighbors. But as the story goes, they'd stopped loving each other, and therefore the congregation had become prickly. Unitarian Universalism, often shortened to Unitarianism, has no dogma. There's no set of beliefs you must hold in order to be a Unitarian. We have a set of principles and sources that guide us in times when we look for guidance. You can find the principles and sources on Capital's website or on the website of the Canadian Unitarian Council, www.cuc.ca. The principles are humanistic, well-developed, and helpful, but they do not call us to love each other, or love the congregation, love any of the gods, or love anything. The Unitarian sources have a call for UUs to love their neighbors. Specifically, the wording is, the living tradition we share draws from many sources, including Jewish and Christian teachings, which call us to respond to God's love by loving our neighbors as ourselves. What would it mean to love your neighbor? Unitarians do affirm and promote the inherent worth and dignity of all persons. How is that different from love? English speakers have many words for love. We love, we adore, we cherish, we appreciate. We have strong likes, we have respect, and we have enthusiasm. Famously, the Greeks have 3 or 4 words for love, and I'll just talk about 3 of them. Eros, the passionate or intimate love, which is not necessarily sexual but can be. Philia, friendship or affection for family, friends, and activities. And agape, a general affection, but also true love. Whereas the Hebrew Bible was written in Hebrew and the Quran was written in Arabic, the Christian Bible was originally written in what language? Hands, anybody? Aha, someone got it. Greek. The Christian Bible was originally written in Greek, and the Greek word agape and its verb form are used 250 times in the Christian Bible. Agape is used for the love that God has for people. and for the love that one person has for another. When Jesus says that the two most important commandments are love the Lord your God and love your neighbor as yourself, he uses the verb form of agape. And in his great love chapter, Paul uses agape exclusively. Agape love is as much a doing as a feeling. It requires action. It requires us to demonstrate our love in some practical fashion. An agape person will do what is possible to feed the hungry, give drink to the thirsty, to welcome the stranger, to clothe the naked, to visit the sick, and to visit the person in prison. Those are the kinds of actions we will pursue if we truly love others with agape love. Even as Unitarian, pagan, and humanist lay chaplains, Amanda and I are sometimes asked to speak from the Christian Bible, specifically about love, the love of the agape variety. Perhaps you have heard this paragraph from a letter that Paul was a law-abiding Jew who felt that non-Jews could follow the new Jesus-centered religion. And Paul wrote this letter to the Christian community in Corinth. You may recognize it. Love is patient and kind. Love doesn't envy. Love doesn't brag, is not proud, doesn't behave itself inappropriately, doesn't seek its own way, is not provoked, takes no account of evil. Love does not rejoice in unrighteousness, but rejoices with the truth. Love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love never fails. But now faith, hope, and love remain these three. The greatest of these is love. People for about 2,000 years have debated what Paul meant by this passage in his letter to the Corinthians. At weddings, it seems to mean that love is a really good thing. In a congregational setting, it means that people should love each other even when times are tough. It is an expansion of love your neighbor. Let me step away from theology for a few moments and talk about tomorrow, Valentine's Day. For everybody out there who forgot, tomorrow is Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day is mentioned ruefully by Ophelia in Shakespeare's Hamlet, when she recites, "Tomorrow is St. Valentine's Day, all in the morning betime, and I a maid at your window to be your Valentine." Valentine's Day, also called St. Valentine's Day or the Feast of St. Valentine, is celebrated annually on February 14th. It originated as a Christian feast day honoring one or two early Christian martyrs named St. Valentine, and through later folk traditions has become a significant cultural, religious, and commercial celebration of romance and love. The Feast of St. Valentine was established by the Pope in 496 to be celebrated on February 14th. The day became associated with romantic love in the 14th and 15th centuries when notions of courtly love flourished, apparently by association with the lovebirds of early spring. In 18th century England, it grew into an occasion in which couples expressed their love for each other by presenting flowers, offering confectionery, and sending greeting cards. Valentine's Day symbols that are used today include heart-shaped outlines, doves, the figure of the winged Cupid. It's a great day for lovers and also for chocolatiers, florists, restaurants, and card printers. That's enough about Valentine's Day for now. I'd like to return to the main topic, which is the title of this homily, Love Your Neighbor, and the question, should Unitarians love their neighbors? Thich Nhat Hanh was a Vietnamese Buddhist monk. He died recently after a lifetime of working for peace, community, and the spreading of Buddhism. Since the American War in Vietnam, Thich Nhat Hanh's peace work in America has greatly influenced the positive light that Buddhism emits in the West. He spoke a great deal about love and about the four necessary elements of true love: loving kindness, compassion, joy, and inclusiveness. I could go on and describe these more, but I think that's another homily. Think of how these simple concepts relate to capital. The service leaders try to spread joy with each of our services through music, words, and ritual, and the congregation returns that joy to us with their smiles, kind gestures, and supportive words during forum. We demonstrate compassion. We demonstrate compassion by genuinely sharing joys and concerns, not only during our Sunday services, but all week as well. And we strive to be inclusive, to welcome the stranger and care for everyone. We are certainly not Thich Nhat Hanh's ideal community, but we can continue to learn from his teachings. I feel that love is vital for the survival of a religious community like ours. We Unitarians have no fear of hell or eternal suffering to keep us attending Sunday services. We offer no promises of an afterlife or reincarnation. We do not even consider it a duty to attend and to perform rituals. If you take a few Sundays off for self-care or for ocean swimming, we wish you well and hope you remember to come back. If you do not get the hand motions right during Spirit of Life, that's okay too. It is love that keeps Capital together. Back to Jesus for a moment. He is recorded as having told his followers to love your neighbor. The writing does not say anything about what color skin or what sexual orientation that neighbor had to have in order to deserve love. Some progressive Christian churches boldly state, love your neighbor, love your white neighbor, your black neighbor, your rich neighbor, your poor neighbor, your white neighbor, your black neighbor, your gay neighbor, your trans neighbor, your elderly neighbor, and your new immigrant neighbor. Yesterday morning, the Catholic Cathedral held a funeral service for Bishop Remy Deroux, who served Vancouver Island for decades. I was happily struck when the presiding bishop started the service by welcoming Jews and Muslims, as well as Catholics and Anglicans. Love your Jewish neighbor. Love your Muslim neighbor. Remember the monks in the story that I led with. Their lives became joyful when they imagined that one of them might be the chosen one. Our lives as Capital Unitarians can be joyful if we imagine that each person in the congregation might be the chosen one. Unitarians are not limited to one God or one spirit, so you could make a brave decision and imagine that every person at Capital is the chosen one, and see how that changes your life. We already affirm and promote the inherent worth and dignity of each person. Do we also love one another? In this homily, I wanted to tell you three things. I wanted to talk about communities who are called to love each other. I wanted to discuss the importance of agape love. And I wanted us to remind us of the importance of love as the glue that holds together a joyful religious community. I think we do love our neighbors, even though they challenge us. We have compassion for our homeless neighbors and our Oak Bay neighbors, our anti-vax neighbors and our healthcare worker neighbors, our neighbors who work for big oil, as well as our neighbors who work for green energy, our high school dropouts and our scientists. Love may not be in the UU principles, but it is what has held this congregation together for 26 years. Let us continue to love our neighbors today and every day. And now, with words and music by Jason Shelton, let us answer the call of love.